gosh, I had really good lunch. I'm trying to cut out bread, so what I did was a BLT wrap. It's very, very tasty. It's very tasty. Is my thing on? Do I have to reload this? Oh, there we go. Phew, that was good. 3. Alright guys, I need to finish this. What else do I need to do? I'm gonna put this together, I think. Oh, I was gonna... Well, I can do that. I have both of them ready. Good. My pedal. There it is. Please tell me that I have sound. I'm gonna be so upset. Okay, it looks like I have sound, so. What am I doing? Did I make a mistake? Maybe. No, I don't think I did. Well, if I did, I'll just fix it. mistakes all the time. Hi, Melon! Hello! I'm always so happy when you come into the chat. Like, delighted. I love it when you ask me questions, too. It's nice to have company, even virtual company. Usually I'm just in my studio sewing by myself, so this is pretty nice. I was saying earlier on the, well, I did it on the Discord, but man, I had this idea because I like BLTs, and we just got like some fresh bacon from Sprouts from the butcher, and I thought I had this great idea to make a BLT wrap with that bacon. I think I'm going into a food coma because I made like one of those giant burrito-sized tortillas full of romaine lettuce and Roma tomatoes, a ton of mayonnaise because I love me my mayonnaise, and then like this thick cut bacon that we got. It was so good. There we good. We have it going the right way. Yes, we do. Ooh, that's looking nice. That is looking nice. So that is the top. Yeah. Oh, so good. Now, did I finish closing up the sides on this? Yes, I did. So these two bits are done. Those are the top, the bodice. I have to slice open one of these panels right in the middle, because these are going to be the two backs. I'm doing it the lazy way. This is not how it's done by professionals or in a factory, but I'm just making this for myself, so I don't really care. So that's going to be the back skirt. This is going to be the front skirt. We're going to fold that, put that away. We have our sleeves. I still have to put together the collar and the cuffs. So I'm not going to adorn the collar with anything. Like, I'm not going to put ruffles around it or anything like that. Or even lace. This is missing a piece. This one. These two cuffs. These collar. And then this is just, oh, that was our sample. I can throw that away. I had a ham sandwich. Some super fresh grapes. Ooh, we also have some fresh grapes. That's not a bad idea. Maybe later though. Nice. I haven't had a chance to sew lately, but I hope to get to it tonight. It depends on when my son goes to bed. That's got to be nice. For her birthday, I'm making my friend's daughter a dress and matching with her doll. Aww. I got all these patterns from Simplicity. They were like a special collection before. They went out of print. They're Daisy Kingdom. And I had found them in a vintage store. Not a vintage store. I found them in a thrift store. And they had matching 18-inch doll dresses with the little girl's dress too. I thought that was super cute. And I got them and then I lost them. But I lose so much. So let's see here. Let's see. We got the bodice, we got the sleeves, we got the lining. Where's the other one? Really? One thing about snipping and ripping the fabric is it lets it unravel a little bit. But at least your grain is straight. So there's that. Alright, so one of these is gonna have to be turned into two pieces.
Is our COTW mashup submitted by the community, and actually, this one coming in right now was submitted through our public portal at monstercat.com/COTW mashups. It's made by a home DJ by the name of Cosmilk and combines Stonebanks Without You and Subside by Thickside Phosphide. Enjoy and keep those submissions coming.
Let's see. I've never sewn for kids before, but I have lots of girls' patterns. Yeah, I collected those too, like a hoarder. Like bought vintage lots on eBay of patterns from the 1950s and 60s because I love the little girls' dresses from that era. I thought it would be cute to make. Nice. I have one of those Daisy Kingdom fabric panels for sewing a stuffed animal. It has all the pieces and instructions on the actual panel piece. Oh, I've seen things like that. They do that with quilting a lot too. Like some quilting panels come printed with like the pieces already on there and ready to go. Cut it out and do it. I think I made like some Christmas stockings for a sample. I briefly worked in a place, it was a boutique, but it also had like a quilting fabric store attached to it. So because I was allowed to sew while I was sitting there at the boutique doing nothing but minding the store, she had her sewing machines set up and she let me use them anytime I wanted to. And one of the things I ended up doing was like one of those, cut out this panel and make like a Christmas stocking that's already printed. So I kind of want to show you a thing that I do that you're actually supposed to do with cuffs. So this is just a straight rectangular cuff. And we're going to do a thing. Now, I need to change my thread. I could just go and use my industrial, but maybe it'll be easier if I just show you on the home machine here. So I'm just going to switch out my thread. I'm using black. Yeah, I've been very lucky in being able to find places that either let me do what I love to do. Like I could bring my cross stitch to work at that place when I worked there briefly, or sew on her machines that she had set up as like samples, or what are they, floor models? They sold the machines. Okay, seriously. And I got to use them. Or I get to work in a place where we're surrounded by board games, and part of my job description is to teach the board games, so I have to learn them. Although that, I admit, is not as fun. Like, it seems kind of like a chore, because I'm not learning for my own self, I'm just learning games that I have to. And I admit that I'm more of a video game player anyway, but I still like board games. I like games of all kinds. Okay. So I'm going to try to show you a thing. See if we can do this.
You can share the love with him at #COTWRadio. Let's hear it.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to sew in like, it's going to be a very specific seam allowance here. I think the seam allowance that I gave myself is 1 centimeter. So we are going to start sewing just all the way around one edge, a centimeter away from the top edge. And eventually what's going to happen is we're going to attach our sleeve in a manner that makes it easy for us to close it up when it's all said and done. And then we'll already have the seam allowance in there. So, see if I can maneuver here, huh? There. No pins. So let's see. Ideally, I should have a notch marking where my my thing is supposed to be, but in lieu of that, I could also use just marking chalk. Let's see, where did oh, I put it away like an idiot. I have another one. Having a seam gauge is really important. I have this one too. It's pretty good. Let's see, we're gonna mark our piece here. About 1 centimeter away from the edge. So that's going to tell us where to start and stop.
Loving all these house vibes coming out on the label recently. Next up is brand new Pixel Terror. Are you ready for this? Here is Soda featuring It's Really Elijah. Enjoy.
Cool. We got that going. We're going to come up here. Make sure that we have the right side going inside, because when we turn it inside out, we want the nice right side to show. This has a right side and a wrong side, and you can sort of see it. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but always be sure that you have the right side in the right place. Yep, perfect. I don't know if you can see it either, but I have the woven interfacing on there again. Hello, Mint! Hello, Mint. Okay, I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm stopping. And it should theoretically be, yeah, that actually looks perfect. That's about a centimeter away, so I'm keeping it within my seam allowance. I'm not lifting my needle. Leave your needle down and turn. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Because I know that the distance between the needle right now and the outer edge on the right side is 1 centimeter. So it's lining up perfectly. See, how far am I? Close. One more. Okay, that should be good. Perfect. And then here I have my mark, so I'm going to stop right at that mark. stitch. Finish. Okay. Pretty good. Oh, you guys, I just thought of another thing that I should tell you about. Who clips their corners? Do you clip your corners? So you see this, we have to turn this inside out. And a lot of home sewers and home sewing instructions will tell you to clip these corners on the diagonal. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is you fold the corners in and then you turn it out. And actually, because I have the interfacing on here right now, I want to trim as much of this bulk as I can. So we have about a centimeter. So this is also called grading. Grading the seams. Yeah, you used to, and I showed you about folding the corners, right? Let's see, can I get this? So we have grading patterns and we have grading seams. Alright, so with this now reduced a little bit, we can probably press this into a corner. And then when we turn it, we have our perfect corner. First though, we have this edge to deal with. So one of these is going to be sewn to the sleeve first, and then we close it with the lining part. So I have to decide now which way I want it to be. I think the outer part should be the lining. So if I wanted to wear this dress, I want the lining. Well, no, it should be the outer part is the reinforced part. Which means I would attach the sleeve to this first and then close the lining on top of it. In any case, this has to be pressed. So I'll do the other one now to show you. Just gonna do this real fast. No? bags of sewing notions. Seam gauges are always included. That's cool. Yeah, I've noticed that they do like random grab bag stuff, like someone's grandma died and then they don't know what to do with the massive amounts of things that they have in their sewing stuff, so they just kind of put it all together. I've never found it really anything too useful in those grab bags, but I do sometimes find really interesting vintage patterns. I should probably get rid of some of mine. I have so many that I will never use. Some of it is from the 70s, and that era was atrocious. I mean, they wore stuff that was like, I mean, it would make a blind gay man just go, oh dear Christ. You got a ton of ribbon for $5. Well, that's a cool find. That's definitely a cool find. Yeah, I like that stuff. That's for sure. Alright, let's get some ironing done here. I'm always so impatient. I like try to pick up my iron and it needs to warm up first. Gosh darn it. Warm up faster. Okay. We have that ready. You know, it might have been smarter of me to grade the lining side instead. But whatever. It's gonna get top stitched. Now this interfacing does have an adhesive on it. It is sewn to the, like I don't grade the interfacing, so I make sure that the interfacing is going into the seam allowance. But usually you're not supposed to spritz water or use steam on anything that has an adhesive, because that's just gonna undo the glue. Don't undo the glue, guys. Don't do it, okay? It's bad. So, yeah, that should turn pretty nicely. Let's find out. So what I'm doing is I'm holding these two folds that I just pressed down, I'm pinching them inside with my thumb here, and then I'm going to pull the lighter side, the lining side, over that point while holding on to the fold. And look at how perfect that corner comes out. I'm going to do the other side. Doing the same thing, I'm holding on to where it's folded. And we're going to pull this over. Just like roll it out. And there we go. Perfect corner. Putting tension on this so that it rolls that little seam towards the inside. I decided that this part is going to be on the inside because it's see-through. You know, you don't want it to show through when you're wearing it, so the interface side is going to be the top. Okay. So I'm just pulling it back to roll that seam towards the back. I'm moving this way too. Cuff. So we're going to leave this open. We have it unsewn on this side so that we can access that. We know where the seam allowance goes, so we're just going to sew from here. And it's going to fold inside when it's all done. And then once it's ready, let's see, once it's ready to be closed, it's hard to do this on camera because I'm like trying to pay attention to where it is. So it's going to close in. This is going to be tucked inside with the sleeve attached, and then it's going to be top stitched closed. And the idea is that you do it on this side, lining up the stitch. So the way that it's folded right now, let's take a look. Where is it? Should be about 1 centimeter. So it's 1 centimeter. So theoretically, if I sewed the sleeve into this at about 11 millimeters, then that means that the seam is going to be here. And so if I sew over on this side, once it's all attached, about 11 centimeters in, if I sew with this lined up at 10 millimeters, theoretically it should catch just the bare edge underneath without looking at it. Just sewing on the top and sewing right into the seam that you just made, technically sewing into the ditch. So that is a technique that I have yet to perfect, but I do know that this is something that can be done. It's so satisfying, I know. Well, guess what? We get to do it again. I think I'm going to have to fill this thing with water again soon. You guys, I need to get an articulating arm. They have the kind that is sort of like an all-over articulating arm, not just hinged at certain places. like a wraparound sort of thing. And it does the same thing. It attaches to the table the way that I have here. But I think I need one of those so that I don't have to keep maneuvering this camera around and down and over by clipping and reclipping it. I have to get something a little bit more conducive to my setup here. Eventually, I'd love to get a better camera for the tabletop. I just don't know exactly what I would need. Like, what kind of camera do people use to get like super detailed, high quality images? I thought I got a pretty good one. I have a 1080p Logitech webcam. You know, because it seemed decent and it seemed affordable. But I don't know what to do about this. Here we go. Another one. Yeah, that's so nice. Pull that out.
That brings us to our final track, and it's a collab between Fate and Laura Brown. We're so excited to share this one with you, so we hope you enjoy it. And like always, until next week, later days.
Alright, that gives us 2 cups. Phew! Oh, my cats. Oh, my sweet cats. Yes, you are so sweet. I need to move you. My cat is so silly. I don't even know how to begin to explain it. But he likes the chair, and I have to kick him off, as you saw earlier. And I hate doing it, because he's so sweet. All he wants is to be in that chair and to sleep. And I'm just, no, I need this. I need this chair. Give me my chair. Oh, do I though? Before I attach these cups. Cats are like that? Yeah, they are. Oh gosh. You guys. I think some surging needs to happen here. Alright, I'm undoing this. This is going down. Wow, my table's all cleared off.
The next 60 minutes is going to be filled with quality records from so many talented artists. And today is even more special because it's a takeover. We will be sharing Cloud9 and Direct's latest EP, Lost.
Really, Cara? Now it's your turn? You know what? I'm sorry, but no.
Show to talk a bit about the tracks and show us some other
Daddy.
tunes that him and Cloud9 really really admire.
I'm sorry, I love you, but no.
Spice things up, and the first half of today's show is filled with releases to complement the takeover. So expect a healthy amount of instinct, and of course,
This guy. I was so happy when I got this thing. I still am. I like it a lot. It's just, oh, it needed some maintenance in the past now, and I've had it a while. I want to say like I've had it for 8 years, like a long time. Okay. And then there's the case of the thread. Put it in here. I'm doing 3 thread right now. I have to figure out, well, first, I'm going to try to do something. I'll show you this too. So I think this is a very interesting thing. In order to thread your serger. Ooh, it's serger. I'm going to just loosen this up a little bit. And I'm going to need a pair of tweezers. I don't have bent tweezers. I don't have bent tweezers, but I have tweezers. I lost my tweezers during my move, and it makes me sad. So what do we do here? Don't unthread this. We're gonna make sure this is long enough here. And cut right there. Take off your spools, put your new ones on. We're gonna change the color. You can do this with an industrial machine. You can do this with your serger. Home sewing machines don't tend to need this technique, but we just tie the ends to the ones we just cut off of the new color to the old color, and we're going to pull them through so that theoretically you shouldn't have to re-thread every time you need to change the color on your serger or your overlock machine. This is especially helpful if you have an industrial overlock machine, which I wish I had, but I don't have room for. That's alright, let's see if my plan worked. So there is a little trick in that down here, let's see. Yeah, you need to see this better. There is a tiny, let's see, there's like a loop, and we need to cut that loop. I'm not too worried about the needle, but the underlooper and the overlooper, I want to pull them through without much consequence because I don't really have an easy means of rethreading this since I lost my gosh darn bent tweezers. And honestly, it's just faster to do it this way. So, let's see. I'm gonna help it along. Help it along. So you don't want to just pull it through because it'll break your thread. Alright, that seems to work okay. So far so good. I've been debating getting one. Oh yeah, every time I'm sewing and get up, my cat takes my place. Yep, that seems to be the thing. And you've been debating getting a serger. I think I might get one next year. Mint says, I got one and it saves me so much time from zigzagging everything. Indeed. Indeed, sir. Indeed. Yes. Or madam, I suppose. But yeah, it's a time saver. And it just looks nice when you have your garments finished that way. Alright, so here's that one thing. You can't really thread the needle through with a knot in it. So I just snip it. Snip the knot out so long as it's been pulled through. And then I just rethread the needle. So I have a 1 needle going right now. It makes a nice fine overlocked edge. Why do I have a thing? Boop. Let's try cleaning that up and then rethreading this guy. Wow. Can I see? There we go. I'm gonna try my little needle, my little tweezers here, see if that works. Yeah, it works okay. Man, I wish I knew where my tweezers went. I keep wanting to say needles, that's funny. Okay. There we go. Let's see if this worked. So far so good. Here's the other thing you need to know about a serger like this, is there is definitely an order in which you need to thread everything. So if you are threading your serger, always be sure to go from right to left. Don't start with the overlooper and think it's going to work. It'll break your thread. You have to go from the rightmost thread to the leftmost thread. So underlooper, overlooper, needle, needle. I learned this lesson. I tried to figure out what was going on, and then it said, kind of in like a footnote thing, it's like, be sure to thread in the right order. Okay. Who knew? It's just the way that it's looping over the hook. And it has to be in a certain position for that. Oh. Okay. So here we go. We are gonna do some serging. Some 3-thread serging. I am not cutting this yet. I don't know if you noticed that, but I'm going to set this next one up. I should have set it up a little closer, but whatever. Is there anything else that needs to be serged? Because it's all going to be hidden anyway under the lining. And like I said before, when a dress is fully lined like this, it's usually not serged on the inside, unless it's for a very good reason, like unraveling and stuff. So I'm just doing it on the sleeve because I'm not lining the sleeve, and I'd like it to feel comfortable and look nice and not unravel with wear. Okay. Ooh, the sleeves look so nice. Let's see, which side is which? How do we determine the sides? Well, here's the back seam. Where it's under the arm. Here's our placket. Our placket's going to go on the outside. So this is the left sleeve. Here we have the other one. So this is the right side. I don't think I need to serge anything else, so I'm just going to turn this off and set it down. I'm hoping that by next week I will have this all done for you and you get to see it on a mannequin with the petticoats underneath. That's going to be exciting. The idea that I had was that I want to wear this to class. We don't have class on Monday, but it's Labor Day. But we do have class the week after that, and so I'd love to wear it to class and show my students something that I'm wearing that I'm like, yep, I made this. I made this. This needs to have the decoration added. Maybe I can do it. No, that should be done first. This also needs to be pressed. Well, I could do the sleeves. So remember what I said with this placket. Since the seam is here and the placket is here, the way we're going to add to this, it's going to basically go on like this. Is it going to fit? Yeah, it'll fit me. Okay. So, this is the way it's going to fit. Which means starting here and inside out. We should probably make some markings to mark like cardinal points. Like we know that this is the seam here, but we need to make sure that we have the center. Let's see. Did I just mess that up? I mean, that is the center, but it's not the center of where the placket is. So. How do we want to find this? I think here. You know, I really should have done this before I added the placket, but no biggie, do it. Okay, so I marked where the center of this is supposed to live. Right here. let's see what we can do. I think that was really the only notch that we would need. So now I want to fit this into this section here. So we're going to put the end of the placket at the fold of this line. So here, I'll show you what I mean. So remember we did these folds. So let's get this kind of straightened out. So we finish like this. So on this side, with the interfacing, it has the fold. We only started our seam here. The fold is here. We want that fold to wrap around the end of the placket. So when we attach this, we just need to make sure that the end of the placket is kind of within that area. So you can sort of see what I mean. So then when it's folded under, I am going to pin. Yes, I'm pinning. Let's see what this looks like first. Let's get some smaller pins here. And then this is a gathered edge. So we definitely need to make it here. Okay, Melon. Let's see, let me catch up here. Tightening would be really nice. Oh, I knew I did something wrong. Center it here. So this is where I get to turn this inside out. Kind of makes it easier to place when it's not trying to stretch over all of this fabric, but the fabric is just kind of bunching up against itself. Okay. That's right. I cut it. It's a lot of oof. Now I'm going to gather this. And with something like this, you could do it two ways. You can gather it by hand, or you can gather it on the machine with a basting stitch. I'm just going to gather it by hand. I'm going to use this white thread that I just pulled off of the serger. So I'm just going to get a whole bunch of white thread and do a basting stitch. Here's another thing that I like to show. So I'm using this super long basting needle. I don't knot it per se, but instead I learned this technique from one of the couture technique videos that I have. Claire Schaefer actually couture techniques. One of the things that she shows in her video is a way to anchor the thread. So first of all, we're not going to be starting our gather until the end of the placket. So I'm just going to anchor this down just to keep it down. I'm going to make sure that this is unfolded on the back. It's going through both layers. And I'm coming through once. It's no knot, remember, there's no knot there. And then I'm just going to do that again. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to take out this thread anyway, so I don't want it to be knotted per se, it just needs to be anchored down. So then I'm going to go upward and kind of make a T, and that's not going anywhere. So for this section, I'm just going to baste it down so that it fits into the cuff. There we go. Remember, this thread is coming out, so I don't care that it's white, I don't care that it's not very even, it just needs to be sticking down to the thread that I'm putting in there. Okay, so from here, I'm going to do one more of those anchors so that it doesn't start gathering into the placket. So it's all straight. I'm just going to do a little T-shaped stitch. And then here we're going to be doing our gathering. Let's get this started. So when I get to this pin that's marking the center, so that I want this evenly distributed, I don't want the center to be shifted too much to the left or the right, so I mark the center at least, and then I kind of maneuver all this fabric where it should be going. So from here, so I was only gathering obviously the shell fabric, it didn't go through the cuff. So I'm going to try to get just picking up the top fabric one more time. So now you have the gathered stitch. Now I discovered a trick. I don't know if I'm a genius or if I just came by it accidentally, but here I go through both layers with a small stitch, and it still gathers, it still pulls. And then I will do it one more time, being careful that my stitch doesn't like hit the other one. So what this does is it creates resistance. And so when I want to distribute this, and I don't want it to unravel, but I want it to remain taut. See, now it has some resistance, and it's not going to just like come apart when I pull on it. It just like kind of ekes out a little bit. And once I have it in pretty much the length of the piece that I'm adhering it to, let's see, just one more time, I'm going to pull it. It's got the resistance. See, it's not falling out. I want to make it as long as the section that I'm going to sew it to. And then I'm going to do that upward stitch. And it's going to anchor it in place, and it's not going to go anywhere. So this is going to remain this length. And I just, when I sew it, I have the gathers, and I just kind of shift the gathers around until they're in a place that I like. And so from here, because it's anchored, I don't need that pin anymore. It's essentially just already in a place that I need it to be. So then we do the next section. We're just going to do a gathering stitch again, which is just this really quick up and down motion with my super long needle. to get to the end where the placket starts again. So this is the underside of the placket. So I don't want the gathering to be within that placket. So I'm just going to try to pick it up. Let's see. Maybe I should just try to do this. Let's put it in. Same way. Throw through both layers, the cuff and the main fabric, and see how it just comes out. Nothing's holding it. So I do that one more time. Just like a little twin stitch underneath it. And so now it still pulls, and I can still pull on it, but it won't unravel very easily. Okay, I'll try that one more time just to make sure that I have it as long as I need it to be. Something like that. Upward stitch, and now it's pretty much glued there. So here, I'm just going to baste this down. Ta-da! And there that is. And I do believe I took out almost all of my pins. There, now there's no pins, and it's all held together. I think that's pretty useful. So then when I'm sewing it, I just have it facing up. Let's see, I think the easiest way is to have it back inside, right side out. Oh, that's gonna be so cute! Look at that sleeve! Yeah, so I'll just take it in sections and splay it out like this. And then sew across. Making sure that this is straight, and then this is where the gather begins. Of course, I did that already by anchoring it just outside of the placket with no gathering. So there you go. That's a sleeve. I'm going to make sure that this is tucked out of the way so that when we're ready to do our top stitch, it should be covered by the back side. It's going to look so cute, you guys. It's going to look so cute. Alright, but guess what? It is about that time. It's about the time that I have to say goodbye. It's 4 o'clock. Yeah, it's adorable, isn't it? I'm very happy with this. There's just a few small details that need to be added, but other than that, it's really coming along. So, I am so happy. I'm glad that you joined me. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, new people, for joining me, and hopefully you have joined the Discord, and if you have any questions outside of stream, I am there to answer them. I love sharing my patterns, I love sharing my advice, and whatever it is that you need for sewing and Lolita fashion and stuff, I am here to help, as best as I can. I don't know how well I help, actually, but I do my best. So, with that, I will say goodbye, and thank you for joining me again. We'll see you on Discord. See you next time, next week on Tuesday, since it is Thursday, isn't it? I think I'm tired. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.